Welcome back to Creative Thinkers. Again, my name is Miguel Valenzuela. I welcome everybody to come and watch our show anytime. We are on YouTube. We're also on EPCC-TV, so please join us. Today, we have a very special guest that I've known, and I say most of my life, because I am 3 years older than she is. She is my younger sister, Ana Valenzuela, and I have her here as a guest because she's a very exciting individual. She's done a lot of things in her life, and she currently has a really, really cool store. So we're going to talk a little bit about your life, Ana. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Miss Prêt-A-Porter Fashions.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how we grew up as kids and why you're so creative, because I think that it runs in the family, but in reality, tell us what your perspective is on that.
I think it was just a very notion of just the way our upbringing was. We were always so pressed to look good and be dressed for success. My mother had department stores, her family did in Mexico. So when I wanted to open up a boutique, I think it just came very naturally.
And boutiques isn't all the things that you've done, because you've done a whole bunch of other things, but let's talk a little bit about the childhood. I remember when we were kids, just as you said, that mom and dad would always encourage us to kind of shoot for the stars and do as much as we could. But where do you think the creativity came from? I always attribute it to mom, actually, but then now that I think about it a lot, I think it also is attributed to dad as well. What is your perspective?
I think me, with, dad, he was always like, you're capable of doing everything you can. You just have to, persevere. My dad was in the military. He was a pilot. He was an entrepreneur. So just with that whole aesthetic, I always grew up like thinking very progressively, where I could do it. I was never shunned down. Oh, you're just a girl. Nothing like that. It was always like, yeah, let's do it, and it was always a banger. We always, completed everything we wanted to do. I moved, went to art school, and just, I've lived in China, went to Europe, did a study abroad. So I think I've done a lot. I've always been drawn to fashion. Just growing up during that whole like MTV launch, you just had that visual impact of the videos. So for me, I always looked at the videos and said, I need to wear that, and I would source it out, either make it myself, reconstruct, even like the dances. I would go out to the clubs and dance, and I had my little dance routine down pat because it was just a whole, living with MTV. That's one of the main attributions. And of course, my mother just really poking at us. She was really one of those, they say in Asian culture, the tiger mom.
Right. Yeah.
For her, I was almost like, it was almost like if you didn't try it, you were kind of a recluse and a kind of almost like a loser. So it was like you really had to try it and give it all you could just to really outshine, everybody.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I remember mom was always pushing us to do things, which I always loved about that. I think that my background in opening up businesses and whatnot also came from that as well. So we went to private school, we went to a Catholic school. Do you think that that influenced you in any way?
I think it did, because just back then, I just feel like you're really brought into a certain level, your connections. I just feel like you kind of have to be grouped with certain people to be successful.
Very true. Then you moved on to college. You studied a little bit here, but then you also moved away and went to the Dallas Institute of Art, right?
Yeah, I started here at EPCC in art and fashion, just because I graduated from school from Burgess early. So it gave me one semester to go ahead and, do my own thing. And I went to the Art Institute of Dallas. And from there, I worked in Deep Ellum, worked in retail. I always had really good management positions in retail. So that really launched, the business aesthetic, management, buying, very hands-on with the fashion world.
how important is education to you? Because I know that it's very important to me. One of my mottos is knowledge is power. So having the knowledge to do things allows me the ability to do things. What's your opinion on that?
I think that it is very important unless you have your own money and you're doing your own thing, because it's almost like an accreditation for you to have that connection. Or people are always like, oh, well, what's your background? Where did you go to school? Are you self-taught, or did it just come, it's like a family thing? I'm third generation fashion designer, that kind of thing. And I noticed that a lot of people, like, say, if I was going to go into a, atelier in Paris, and I didn't have any financial backup, I would have to say, I came from this school. I've done this, I've had, 5 different lines. I did a teenage line. Now I have a young women's, and I'm going into accessories, that kind of thing, because you have to really build up your portfolio to show who you are and where you're coming from.
Absolutely. So from Dallas, you ended up coming back, and at a very young age, we as a family opened up a really cool store, which I loved, Planet Rock Millennium. And what was it that we did at that shop so that people can understand? Because that was a really big creative, I think, kind of stepping stone for us. So give us a little background on that cool shop.
Okay, absolutely. So Planet Rock was a buy, trade, and sell. So you could take your cassettes, you could take your vinyl, your CD, music collection if you were just tired of it, or you were in a jam, or you just wanted to switch it out for something like, oh, I really like EDM, but now I want to go into classics. I'm dating this jazz guy, whatever. We could just buy, trade, and sell. That was really nice. And then we started just kind of doing whatever was trendy and fashion at that particular moment. Skateboarding, jewelry, body jewelry. I did the clothing wear. So for me, my aesthetic was club gear, club wear. I was throwing underground rave parties. I had Digital Ecstasy, which was a production company. So I was bringing in, the entertainment, top international worldwide DJs. Because back then, it's almost like the DJs became the rock stars of the 70s and 80s. And it was just that whole progression of evolution of entertainment. And we were right in the middle of it. I mean, we were on top of the world. It was such a banger. We were selling, clothing where you could go out anywhere. I mean, it's timeless clothing. People still come up to me and say, wow, I still have that one gothic gown, or I have a foot service dress. And it's like, yeah. And it's one of those things. It's not disposable wear. It's stuff that is really timeless fashion. People, I mean, just will literally have stopped me in the street. Oh my God, you're Anna from Millennium, and it was like, it's nice. It's a compliment, They're friends, fans, fashionistas. I mean, I just love it. It's just become a very underground culture. So we were doing, the buy, trade, and sell, the clothing. We were even, that's when gaming started. So gaming, there were buy, trade, and sell games and consoles. Skateboarding, we were selling decks. We had skateboard demos. I used to have the Planet Rock Fest. So I would, invite, I remember having at the drive-in, which they're huge.
It was their first gig.
They played at our parking lot.
Yeah.
And then there was like these really big metal, what were they called? It was the guy from the owner of the Rock House. So anyways, just a lot of people started with our underground kind of department stores, what I like to call it. And it was really cool. It was really nice. I have a lot of pictures and videos and stuff. I was throwing fashion shows at warehouses, parties, at the first, GLBT, Pride Fest,
Right.
I was a board member of the first, LGBT
association, or what was that?
Yeah, it was the first board here in El Paso. I was one of the founding board members, and it's just one of those things that, you always have to contribute. And I remember putting on my flyers, Millennium Club Gear, Third Millennium Boutique, and it said gay friendly store on there because I felt like I really needed to reach out and if people, because they have a certain type of look in fashion as well. But I
Right.
was always, going to the alternative lifestyle bars. I had fashion shows at the OP. Bob Bonaventure, when he opened up the new OP, which is the 301 right there on Ochoa, he
Hmm.
asked me, hey, Anna, you're always here anyways, and you have your fashion shows. Why don't I create a retail shop for you upstairs at the OP? And it was like,
Yeah, you did. I remember you having that shop. It was really cool. What
yeah,
has it been like to open up stores and be a business owner, especially being a female?
I think just going back to having, that empowerment, that belief,
Mhm.
that backup,
Yeah.
that support, that yeah, you can do it. You can, go out there, be creative, do it, challenge yourself, overcome those challenges. I mean, right now I feel like we live in a different climate. You have to
Yes.
really have that social media. You have to have, a retail online business. And it's different, but it's kind of the same. Like with social media, I see that, back in the day, I had to go out there and create those relationships. I had to
Right.
really be connected. I mean, I was telling a client back then, I mean, I wasn't a mommy, but, I would have to go out there clubbing. I would, go out there and literally put a flyer in somebody's hand. When now
Yes.
I have to go on social media, go on all my, handles, whether it's, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, my own site, whatever, and go out there and communicate with them. And it's a very important to, respond. They liked your comment, they have a question. What are your business hours? Oh my God, you still have that two-piece denim set, whatever it is. You have to
Right.
have that connection. So for me, I mean, it's all about networking and who you know, really, bottom line.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Has it helped you, you think, in many ways, like not having to physically go out and meet 800 people to bring into the store? Is it easier to be online now?
No, because just the retail, the brick and mortar, I mean, it just so many things have changed. People always said, God, it's like Amazon killed the small business owner.
Right.
And it is true to an extent.
Hmm.
But I bet you if you have that niche, that customer, that loyalty that says, you know what, I really feel good the way, I get styled when I go to Prêt-A-Porter Fashions. And I have heard that.
Yeah.
People are like, you know what, I would have never have thought of wearing that together.
So we're talking about business owners, and you are a female business owner. How do you find the dynamic of being a female business owner in El Paso? Is that something that really motivates you to keep going?
It is. I actually have some colleagues that are business owners. I share a space here with a female business
Mhm.
owner, and I mean, a lot of my friends actually are female business owners, believe it or not.
So that's
From
fantastic.
being doctors to engineers, retail artists, bar owners. So it does kind of have that dynamic that si se puede,
Of
but
course.
on the flip side of life, and I don't like to use this word, but you always have haters. You hate people that I guess, they're just jealous. They see that you're thriving. They might want to thrive and they're not. And it's just really bad energy. But
Right, right.
I mean, I've been a victim of a arson, as you have too. I was told that somebody that was, I guess an enemy of mine, which I didn't really see that I had enemies, but I had a competitor which was from the underground, rave party circuit or whatever, that could have been a culprit. It could have been another culprit too that was, just doing some shady stuff that I'm not going to mention. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, I was a victim. They try to squash us down and burn down my store, our store, and
Right.
We just rebuilt. I had a lot of loyal customers, that were, backing us up and supporting us. And we were able to open up, another store. And I just always think, you just always have to be on top of it and watch your back. You have to be 5 steps ahead of the game. You just really have to be very consumed with what you're doing. If you're not in tune with you're not, you're not doing it. You're not going to be successful.
And speaking about being successful, your passion obviously is fashion. Give us some examples of why fashion is so important to you.
Fashion is a lifestyle statement, from what you're wearing to your shoes, accessories, even makeup. Sunglasses, for example, a lot of people, it's almost like they're blinders, do not disturb. If people have glasses on, it's almost like, and especially now with the COVID, you throw on your mask, and people are it's almost like a disguise.
Yeah, incognito.
Really like, God, who is that? I mean, I've encountered people where I say hi to them where I'm out in public, and then they'll message me like a day or two later, oh my God, Anna, I didn't realize that was you, or I ran into you, right there at Albertsons or whatever, and it's somebody that I know, and they thought, God, I know that person, but who are they? So I'm really looking forward to the near future where you can actually not wear a mask.
Right.
You can really celebrate who you are. And I think the way your lifestyle is, just the way you look, is part of your persona and individual character. People, I mean, going from like punk people to goth people to skaters to future models to musicians, you can kind of really relate a person's fashion to who they are. People see me and they might say, wow, I wouldn't wear that, but I can tell she's really fancy and into fashion. That you can just tell, and it runs, whether you're a Madonna fan, Gwen Stefani fan, if you're a fan of somebody where you want to emulate a certain icon. I mean, just to use like the Beatles or even Michael Jackson. Remember, Michael Jackson had that fashion.
I remember the glove.
The red leather jacket, the penny loafers, the black jeans. You know what I mean? It's just that whole look. And people say, wow, I want to be that. I want to be him. I want to dance like him. And it's just, it's a trend. What can you say? It's a trend.
What kind of trends are coming up now in fashion?
Well, right now we're moving from kind of the 90s to late 80s. So you have a lot of mid-drift, a lot of those jogger pants, which is funny because I've actually been carrying joggers since 2016. In fact, I don't even have any more joggers. I'm sold out. But just, the mid-drifts, the little kilt skirts, tube socks.
Tube socks are back?
Yeah, tube socks are back.
Well, see, that's one thing that I've always noticed is that we always go back to the past to grab from the past and bring into the future. So the 70s are back.
Well, it's not really quite the 70s, but a little influence because you are, like before you had the low riders, the hip huggers, and now it's, people almost call them like the mother jeans, the mom jeans.
The really high-rise ones?
Yeah, they're high-waisted and have more of a slender kind of, I always called it kind of the Gumby look, and it was like almost like a long, big elephant leg, but people are still wearing, the ever famous legging and the skinny jean. But just the evolution right now, and I don't want to say it's out because a lot of people still wear it. It's almost like, if you really want to be on trend with what's happening, as far as like, I would wear maybe like a plaid pant, a jogger, a windbreaker, that kind of well, for me, sports have never really gone out of style, but just if you want to have that, kind of flight wear, that was really popular. That's back in. I mean, if you look at the hairstyles, like, people that are African American have that kind of kid and play. It's almost like a blocked, flat top, you know.
Also, I hear that the middle center part is something that's very important right now. Like if you have a side part, that's not in anymore.
Yeah, you have to have that kind of very, your hair parted in the middle, kind of balance it out. Braids are still popular. A lot of the beach curls, For me, I just feel like if you really want to stand out, even like, say you go to a concert, and then you're like, God, I wish they picked me. I want to go on stage. Like the oldest, you know, trick in the book, I guess, was, to wear a hat because you're going to stand out from the crowd. People are going to say, okay, her in that black hat, get her on stage, And that's just one of those things, if you want to stand out, you got to look good, in a crowd. You want to really be well presented and emulate whether it's your favorite icon or your own persona,
Absolutely.
Got to have that signature.
Oh, for sure. Signature.
It's a
The
signature
people
look.
that go into your store, do they ask for you to dress them? So is that part of what you do as well? Or do you just have them pick out a few things and say, hey, you know what? This might go with this. Are you more of a fashion kind of a forward individual that tells the people, maybe it's time for a new look?
Well, I've done.
And are they ready for that?
And lifestyles, like, I had a friend, she's like, you know what? I know you have a lot of sexy clothes here. I'm divorced. I want to get back out on the market, and she came in and, she lives in Houston, but she came in and I set her up, she's gone on some dates. She's still dating. And she told me, you know what, Anna, if it wasn't for you making me look good and feel good, because I always feel like you looking good, your clothing, it just really builds your confidence.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to, and I coined myself kind of a fashion psychologist. Because even if inside, yeah, because it's almost like people might label you,
Oh, okay.
Like for what, like say, going back to my friend, she got a divorce. It would have been like, well, gosh, she's a little bit older, but she's kind of, and people will just label you. I mean, I don't want to say anything rude, but they'll, go out there and say that. Oh, well, how come she's out or whatever, But anyways,
you dress them for whatever event they're going to as well.
Yeah,
if they're going to go out and kind of hang out at a bar or something for the night, that's kind of something that you can dress them. If they want something a little bit more formal, a little bit more dressy, then you dress them for that as well.
I dress people. I mean, I do styling. Like right now I'm working with LAT Studios. They have the Live and Talented. I did a Glam It Up segment, and we're also shooting a show that is called Unmatched. So you can check it out on YouTube. So going to that, I've done styling for movies, music videos. I did On the Border, which was with Daniel Baldwin. And then I also did The Committed. In fact, I was even a stand-in for Heather Graham for a little bit because we kind of had the same body type and stuff. I've done educational videos. I'm in a book called Dime Dos. It's for Spanish learning, and it's all over high schools and colleges. I played the main role, Margarita. So I've styled for stuff like that. I've styled for people that are up and coming models or actors. Hey, you know what? I have this audition. It's a big movie. What do you think? They want me to be, this drug dealer or this cowboy, whatever. And so I'll style them, for that type of look. Even photo shoots, I want to do a bordello look, or I want to do a very like neon theme, turban fantasy, whatever. We're here to help. I did somebody was going to travel to do a competition, kind of like there's a show on Netflix and on FX. It's called Pose, And then just before, there was a movie called Paris is Burning, and that's where like Madonna got all the voguing and stuff from. So this customer of mine said, hey, you know what? I'm doing a ball. The category is male, handsome, trend, and so he had certain colors that he was playing with to perform to go out there and walk that category. So I told him, head to toe. And, he had a really good time, and he was getting presented to his family, which is part of the group or clan. And, he went to Pittsburgh and just nailed it. He's like, oh my gosh, it was a banger, Anna. And he tagged me and everything. And I really like to see that too, where people are very successful and happy, and they attribute, their success because, they came in here and I was able to style them. So that's really cool too,
Yeah, styling for sure is very important. I think that, at least I think that I'm a good dresser, but I try to do that every day because I also think that it's very, very important. And I believe that all of that came from our parents as well. I remember when our father was a, very well dressed man, and my mother, our mother, I say my mother, our mother also being a very well dressed individual. So that kind of was something that was given to us. How important do you think that is in people's lives, even though they don't know it?
Well, the home is where you come from and your family, it's just trending on generations, whether it's genes, characteristics, looks. I mean, you're going to have that type of development to create the person that you are now. I mean, like some people say, oh, well, Max is a really good artist because Miguel is your name, but you go as Max for your artist name.
Right.
So anyways, and my mom says, oh, well, yeah, it's like my grandfather was very articulate. He was always like doing really good marketing and advertising for the business we had. And, he would do all his own ads and everything. And so to me, I thought, God, that's really sharp, especially back then in the day, where people were really, I mean, there was no computers or anything. So, you had to create your own, drawings, sketches, that kind of thing, and he would even design stuff. I know my mom had mentioned, or our mom had mentioned that they would come and buy fabrics here in the U.S. and take them to Mexico and make a run of a certain type of style of dress. Like they would say, okay, what's popular? There was a magazine. It was called Hit Parade. So they would say like, oh, there's, James Dean, there's, Elizabeth Taylor, we got to make that dress because people are looking for it.
Yeah,
so they
exactly.
would go and they would manufacture those dresses or that look if they weren't able to find them. And I think that was kind of something that I did. I remember looking at the MT videos and it was like, oh my gosh, I want to have that outfit that, Janet Jackson's wearing.
It wasn't available, right? So you had to make.
So I had to make it from scratch. So it was one of those things, and you have to kind of keep up with the demand. If you can't source it or buy it, you got to make it.
Absolutely. So creativity runs in our family. Can you give the audience some advice and tell them how important creativity is?
It's a very important. I mean, I share this with customers that are here. They say, gosh, I see you and I want to, open up a shop. And I actually have customers. I remember I have a client that was one of my customers at Third Millennium Boutique. She had modeled for me a few times and she's got her own shop.
20-some years ago?
Yeah, just down the street. What is it called? The Red Door Vintage. And there's just a couple of other people that have evolved that always aspired to, create something off of what they had seen in me, in my business,
Absolutely. So it's always good to influence people. Anna, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to interview you and to talk to you so we can learn a little bit about how it is to be creative in the fashion world. Thank you for coming. Absolutely.
Spread the love and God bless and make it a banger.
Always. So I want to thank everybody for joining us once again here at Creative Thinkers. If you guys know of anybody that you think that we need to interview, please let us know. Thank you very much.